up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor Dark Joker with District's View. And this week, I'm going to give my predictions for the upcoming women's college basketball season for the 2025 through 2026 season. We'll go over who I think will win each of the Power Four conferences, and then who I think will win the national championship. So with all that being said, on with the video. First, I'm going to explain who I think will win each of the Power Four conferences this upcoming season. For the SEC, I think it's going to be the South Carolina Gamecocks. Obviously, they've been consistently been like the best team in the SEC the past few years. Under Don Staley's leadership, and I think that will continue this year. Obviously you have Texas, LSU, both being strong contenders, and but I think it's going to be South Carolina riding the table this year for the SEC. For the ACC, I think it's going to be Notre Dame. Of course, you have Louisville, NC State, a few others being like strong contenders, but I think it's going to be Notre Dame. Obviously, Notre Dame is one of the perennial contenders for women's basketball, and I think they're going to win this year. Like I mean, I'm not too knowledgeable about what all is going, but they have a lot of good players this year, and I think they will be able to win out in the ACC. For the Big Ten, I think it's going to be the UCLA Bruins. Of course, UCLA, they're like generally a strong like women's basketball team. Of course, you have them, Oregon, Iowa, you know, being major, Big Ten teams, Maryland, and obviously Big Ten's not as well known for basketball as it is for some other sports like football, but this could be a good conference for women's basketball, and I think with all the players that we see, with UCLA seemingly having the best best group of players, I think UCLA will come out on top in the Big Ten this year. For the Big 12, I think it's going to be TCU. So with all the teams in the Big 12, it's it can be hard to say who's going to win, but based on all teams, of course, big no, TCU is like the favorite to win the Big 12, and with how well they did the previous season, and with a lot of people think they're going to keep up the momentum coming into this year. I agree with that, and I think that with having what the success they did last year, I think they're going to continue that momentum and win the Big 12 this year to get the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. For the national championship, I think it's going to be South Carolina. South Carolina is going to get another one. Yeah, some people think UConn might be able to win it, and they might. I mean, obviously, like Ariema's still at you know Ariema's still at UConn, so UConn's going to be perennial contender for a long time as long as he's there. Now, South Carolina, of course, in recent years they've done a lot, having won, 3 national championships under Don Staley, and and I think they'll get their 4th one this year. And that's it. Did y'all like this video? Dislike this video? Do you agree with these picks? Do you disagree with these picks? You can put all that in the comments. Basically, do you have your own opinions on who will win the women's basketball championship this year? Who will win each conference? You can put all that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and look forward to the next video.